Hello, my name is Ryan, and I have been sent here by the Father to give you several messages. But He has set aside one message, and He came to me and another man 3 years ago and told us that He had done a work, and that He needed that work revealed. It's been secret, it's been hidden, and He charged us to prepare this work, and it's been a little over 3 years now, and we have finished. And so now He has told us to deliver this to you. This is a sign for the children of Israel. It's to be seen by the whole world, but it is very much to be understood by the children of Israel. So what is this sign that He has preserved for this time? It is the Ark of the Covenant. He has revealed to us the exact location of the Ark of the Covenant, exactly how the men that He used put it there and where that location is. And then we are going to take you out there so you can see it for yourself. You are going to know today the location of the Ark of the Covenant. And so let's just get right into it. The Ark of the Covenant was never lost. It was hidden. And this is what the Father refers to as His marvelous work and a wonder. And He has been orchestrating men over the last 2,600 years to get this ark into its final resting place for the end times. And those days are upon us now. And so this is going to come to pass. You are going to see this come up. And it's an amazing time. And so how was it done? Well, He originally hid it with a man named Jeremiah, who was a prophet. You can read about this in 2 Maccabees chapter 2. And Jeremiah, under the direction of the Father, hid it in a mountain called Mount Nebo. And it stayed there for a period of time, and then it was found. And it was found by a group of men that we refer to as the Knights Templar. And they received this through a cryptic text. They had found a scroll. And they smuggle it into Europe. And it ends up making its way into France. And we don't quite know how it happened, but it ends up finding its way into the hands of a man named John Dee. Now, John Dee resided within Queen Elizabeth Courts in England. He was the highest intelligence officer in the land. He had they say in that time period, he had the most extensive spy network in the world. He had spies in every castle, in every part of the land, and he had information coming from everywhere. And he was very respected by everybody. He was known as a genius, and he held many secrets. And he had one secret. We don't know how he retrieved it, but he ultimately retrieves the Ark of the Covenant. And he passes it on to another man. And this man's name is Francis Bacon. Now, John Dee taught Francis Bacon everything he knows about what is referred to as Rosicrucianism. And what Rosicrucianism is it's based off a man named Christian Rosenkreutz, and he's a fictional character. And that's where they get the name R.C. And supposedly this R.C. was 106 years old, and he passes the light of knowledge on to another man. And thus, two people now have this knowledge, and so 106 is cut in half. And so you get the number 53. And this number 53 is a sacred number to the Rosicrucians, and it represents R.C.'s tomb. And so we need to understand this. And so he teaches Francis Bacon all about Rosicrucianism. Now Francis Bacon takes that and he creates what we know as Freemasonry. He is the father of Freemasonry, and he molds the two together. So who is this Francis Bacon? He was born in 1561. By the age of 10, he speaks over 10 languages. By the age of 16, he has graduated from Cambridge University, and at the age of 19, it is said that he is knighted into the Knights Templar, otherwise known as Rosicrucians, and was given a secret. And from that moment on, his life, he is very much in the shadows. He does certain things out in the open, but he's working on a secret project. And this project continues for the remainder of his life until the very end, when he finally finishes this, what he calls his 7 days work. And so this man is referred to as the father of the essay. He is the father of the scientific method. He is the creator of the binary code where you get your computers. He was an author. He was a poet. He was a painter. He was a lawyer. He was an inventor. He dabbled in alchemy. Just a brilliant man. Under King James, he is Chancellor of the Court, Keeper of the Seal, highest intelligence officer in the land. His whole life was in codes and ciphers, and so he very much understood this language. And when he institutes these ciphers, he is very effective. He knows how to do it. And so you have to get into this man's mind to unlock what he wants you to see. And so we are going to do that today. Now, 8 to 10 years ago, a man came across something amazing, and it really unlocks. It's a big piece that unlocks the Father's work. And so he found hidden ciphers within the William Shakespeare First Folio, 1623. And these ciphers, you can actually watch it on YouTube. It's called The Shakespeare Codes, and it's a 3-hour documentary. And he shows you several ciphers. And these ciphers are in your face. These are really good ones. There's many more. I've went through the whole text, and I have found no less than 150. But these few that he found are the really big ones. These are the ones that hit you right in the face, and you just can't deny what you're looking at. And so he unlocks these ciphers, and these ciphers are telling you that William Shakespeare did not author those plays, but another man did, a man by the name of Francis Bacon. And that Francis Bacon he's the actual author of these plays, and he has put hidden ciphers within this huge chunk of text. And within these ciphers, he says, is a map. And you are encouraged to look for this map. And this map will lead you to what they're calling R.C.'s tomb. And if you can find R.C.'s tomb, then you will locate the Ark of the Covenant, or this treasure that he says he has. That's what he's telling you in these ciphers, is that he has hidden. He's put a map in here, and that this map is real, and that it leads to a treasure. And so this man who unlocked these ciphers, well, he unlocks a specific cipher. And it ends up being the most important one. And the only thing is he misinterpreted it. See, some of these ciphers are just real simple, and you just doom, 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 and just go on. There are certain ciphers that are multiple ciphers within a cipher. And so what he did was he actually was able to unlock a portion of the cipher. But he didn't unlock the cipher which tells you how to read that cipher. And so he read it based off what he thought made sense. And so he believes that by this cipher that it's a star map. And it takes him off, and he ends up finding Oak Island. And he believes that that's this map that Bacon had left. And that's where you get your Oak Island series. But he misinterpreted it. And we are going to go in, we are going to show you the verse, or the cipher that he misinterpreted. And then we're going to show you how it's to be correctly interpreted. And then we're going to go to the map that he says is there. And so it's just an amazing, amazing work. Marvelous work and a wonder. And we are also going, as we go through and we are unlocking these ciphers, which unlock this map, you are going to see how these men actually used Scripture to hide the Ark of the Covenant. So the Father's Word, you are going to see come to pass, prophecy, as we are unlocking this map. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the books. I'm going to just have to take the camera. I'm going to try to keep it as, as shakeless as possible and keep it in focus. But I just want to go ahead and take the camera, just take you right into the book, and we will look at this cipher. We will decipher it correctly, and which will lead us to the next step, to where we can unlock where the Ark of the Covenant is. Okay, this is the William Shakespeare Comedies, Histories, and Tragedies, First Folio, 1623. Okay, that's the cover photo. And he found several ciphers inside of this book. And so when you go to this book, we're going to go to the cipher that he misinterpreted, because this is the main one. Out of all the ciphers in this book, they're all trying to get you to find this specific cipher. And where it starts is at the top. We're going to go ahead and read. This is in the first part of King Henry IV. And it falls on page 53, which is that marker number, RC. So this is how they mark. There's a cipher here. And we know that they did this because if you just turn it back a couple of pages, you'll notice that it's page 46. And then when you go directly across, it's 49. And so they skipped 2 pages. And they did that so that this cipher would land on page 53. Okay? Now what he did was he began to read, and he noticed a quote. And it says, "And call for eggs and butter." But that's not the quote. That's not the famous quote. The famous quote is, "And call for eggs and bacon." And he began to read and noticed that we actually have the word bacon on here. It's right here. And so he took a line and crossed it, and it went through the I am. That. And he found that to be interesting. So then he begins to look a little closer, and he notices that 2 star constellations are mentioned. One is Wain, the other is Boots. And so he drew a line and crossed through the star constellations, and it crossed through the I am. And when you look at it, the 4 words create a perfect circle. And then with your crosses through the center, with I am at the direct center. And he said, "Oh, I know what this is. I am," Exodus 3:15, where the Father gives us this title. And he says, "The heavens." He wants me to look up in the sky. The I am of the heavens. I need to look up. This is a star map. And he goes off and comes up with a star map. But that was incorrect. That is not what this cipher is telling you. And how this is done is he is going to show you when you once you saw 53 and you came to the eggs and butter, that should have caught your eye. But that alone, I wouldn't have guessed to put a line through. And so I kept reading. And on page 55, which is another number, 55 is Francis Bacon in short cipher. He has several cipher tables: Pythagorean cipher, simple cipher, reverse cipher, short cipher, and K cipher. And you can look these up. He actually published them in a book. And if you come down, there is another famous quote. And it says, "I am sworn, brothers, to a leash of drawlers, and can call them by their names as Tom, Dick, and Francis." Well, there you go. We know that the saying is actually Tom, Dick, and Harry. And if you look up, we have the name Harry. And so he did this on purpose. And so now you should have noticed that 2 really famous quotes are being misquoted. And the words that are being switched say Francis Bacon. And here it should be Harry, but it's Francis. And on the page before, it should be bacon, but he put butter. Put the 2 together, Francis Bacon. And so he wants you to draw that line. And he's letting you know Francis Bacon is the one who's doing this. And so what about the star constellations? Well, if we go directly across, and if we were to read, and this is on line 35, which reversed would be 53. There's that number. "And now I will unclasp a secret book." And on line 40, which is Francis in short cipher, "on the unsteadfast footing of a spear." And then if you look directly down below that, it says, "Send danger from the east unto the west, so honor cross it from north to south." And so there's where you're getting that crossing. They would use stars to navigate. And so east to west, north to south, he's telling you to cross it. And there's where you're getting your second cross. So now we understand why we're to cross this. And so he got that part of the cipher correctly. Now we understand why we have the circle and the X and I am in the center. But what is it telling us? Well, go back. "And now I will unclasp a secret book on the unsteadfast footing of a spear." So we're looking for a book. What book did I am author? Well, what book was that? What do we call the inspired word? It's the 1611 King James Bible. The 1611 King James Bible is the secret unclasped book that he is referring to. King James was king in 1604, and he instructed this book to be created. 6 translators translated the scriptures into the newly revised English language. It was then handed to King James, and he passed it off to another man for 1 year. That man's name was Francis Bacon. Francis Bacon is William Shakespeare. He is the actual creator of the English language. If Francis Bacon actually wrote the William Shakespeare plays, he's the one who revised the English language and turned it from a broken language to a great language. And so if you had to have somebody edit this book, who better to edit it than the man who created the language himself? And that's exactly what has happened. And that's what he's telling you here in the Shakespeare folios. He also does it again at the top with just under 53. I know a trick worth two. And so what's the original trick? Well, the original trick is you've put a chunk of ciphers, you put ciphers in a chunk of text. And so the trick worth two would be another book with hidden ciphers within a chunk of text. And so we have identified that book. He is telling us to go to the Bible. King Francis Bacon was the editor of this book. He had it in his possession for a year. He does all the illustrations. He does the dedicatory page. He does the translator to the readers. And he does all the margin writing on the sides of the scriptures. And so all of this was constructed by Francis Bacon. And he inserted a cipher map inside of this book. And we are going to prove it and show it to you today. And we are going to know that this is the secret book because these two will actually collaborate with each other to unlock ciphers. And so it's amazing. It's an amazing work that these men did. And so how did they do it? He actually drew out a map. And then he actually has an aerial view map of that location that he has led you to. But you cannot see it until you find 4 ciphers. There are 4 ciphers that must be found before you can see this map. And the first one that we want to look at is on this page. Okay? It's on the cover page. And so you'll notice in the first folio, he uses the cover page of William Shakespeare to give you a cipher. If you look at the face of William Shakespeare, it actually looks like he's wearing a mask. And that is a cipher because you watch the Shakespeare codes and you will actually see that cipher come right before your eyes. And it's an amazing thing. And so he's actually using drawings to give you a cipher. And he does the same thing here in this book. These ciphers that you unlock here, you actually imply the same ones here. This one unlocked a book. This one will unlock a map. And so if you look, you got Moses, you have Aaron, you have the 2 prophets, you have the 2 pillars, and then up top you have the apostles. Okay? This man right here, he's dressed incorrectly. He is dressed like a captain. Notice everybody else is wearing robes. There's Peter, robes. But this man is not. He is wearing a captain's outfit. And they let you know that for sure by the way he's standing. He is standing in what's called a captain stance. And look at his hand. What is his hand doing? See, it's pointing down. And if you were to go straight down, you hit the tribe of Asher. Pull that back so you can see it. He's pointing at the tribe of Asher. And we found that to be interesting. That by itself does you nothing. But let's keep it in the back of our mind. We have a captain pointing down at the tribe of Asher. Now this next one has already been found. And this falls on the dedicatory page. Okay? This is the dedicatory page of the 1611. And this has already been found. You can pull this up on the internet. And what you have here is certain letters capitalized when they shouldn't be. S, the T in title, H in highness, P in peace. What you actually have here is what's called a capital letter cipher. And it creates a compass and ruler, which is a Freemason symbol with the G. The G and the compass and ruler going hand in hand. And so there's actually a compass and ruler on here, and we're going to see that play out. Like I said, this was already found. They just didn't understand how important it was. And so here you have the R falls on the direct center of the page. And then you'll notice this line goes through the capital E all the way down to the capital S, comes back down to the center of the page, up to the capital P, through the capital A in Almighty, back to the R, creating, through a capital letter cipher, a compass and ruler with the letters spear running through the lines. Capital letters. Spear and a compass and ruler. That is on the steadfast footing of a spear. That's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. So now we know we have the correct book. We have the correct book. But there's another cipher inside of this cipher. Okay? And it's what's called a 3-4-5 triangle. Now in the first folio, they actually used the same thing. They put a 3-4-5 triangle in there, letting you know that the Rosicrucians wrote the first folio. And they've instituted a 3-4-5 triangle here as well. And it goes hand in hand because, once again, the compass and ruler, geometric shapes. And so they did it a little differently, but the same concept. And so in here, what you have is a 3-4-5 triangle, and a 3-4-5 triangle, the degrees never change. It's always 37 degrees by 53 degrees by 90 degrees. And what they've done is by counting the words to the degrees. And so the 37th word is 2. If you come from the top down, the 53rd word is Sion. And if you go down to the 90th word from the bottom, it's the word sacred. And when you put it together, you get 2 sacred Sion within the degrees of a 3-4-5 triangle. Interesting. Also the word treasure inside of the triangle. And so we found that to be very interesting. So by itself, it's nothing, but we keep it. So now we have a captain pointing down at the tribe of Asher, and now we have a 3-4-5 triangle saying 2 sacred Sion. So now let's go to the third cipher. And it falls on the next page of the dedicatory page in the 1611. And you'll notice the word author here. A-U-T-H-O-U-R. And if you were to go down, you'll find that word again. Only it's spelled A-U-T-H-O-R. And that one falls on line 33, which is Bacon in simple cipher. A being 1, B being 2, C being 3, Bacon equals 33. This is where they get that's the huge Masonic number, because he is the father of Freemasonry. And what does it say? But as to the principal mover and author of the work. And I noticed this because I noticed the author spelled differently in the first folio. And so if we go to the dedicatory page in the first folio, we're in the dedicatory page of the 1611 right now, you'll notice on this dedicatory page, you have author. And V's and U's were interchangeable at this time, so it's spelled A-U-T-H-O-R. But then you go to this page, to the next dedicatory, and it's A-U-T-H-O-U-R. And so what he wants you to see here is which one was the correct spelling. Well, it was A-U-T-H-O-R. It fell on line 33, the principal mover and author of the work. And so if we go back to this one, now we know we're on the correct dedicatory page. And there is a hidden cipher in here. There's actually several hidden ciphers, but we're only going to show you the one that's pertinent to what we're doing. And if you look on line 20, which represents RC, R being the 17th letter, C being the 3rd, 17 plus 3 is 20. Upon the muse's anvil turned the same, and himself with it that he thinks to frame. Well, you come over here to the dedicatory page, and we have the word anvil capitalized, and it shouldn't be. And then we notice the word protection, P, is capitalized, and majesties, and M is capitalized, and it creates a triangle. It says Pam and creates a triangle. Now let's go back and reread that one more time. Upon the muse's anvil turned the same, and himself with it that he thinks to frame. If we turn this, upon the muse's anvil, upon Bacon's anvil, turn the same. When you turn it, it's the same. The shape don't change, but the M and the P do. And himself with it that he thinks to frame. Well, now I'm seeing map. you want me to go to a map. And what does it say at the top? And give liking unto nothing but what is framed. He wants us to go to the map. And there's the Rosicrucian seal, letting you know, yes, I'm doing this. So let's go to the map. There is a map inside of the 1611. Okay, here it is. That's the map inside the 1611. Now, we have 3 ciphers that we have unlocked. We have a captain pointing to the tribe of Asher. We have a 345 saying to Sacred Sion. And now we have a capital letter cipher saying go to the map. So we're at the map. What he's done is he's actually drawn out a map for us, but you cannot see it. It is hidden. The ciphers keep it hidden until you unlock the 4th cipher. And when you unlock the 4th cipher, the whole map just comes right up. And so where is this 4th cipher? He's led us to this map. It's on this map. And where it ends up being is right here. This compass. Okay? And I'm going to zoom it in for you. See that? It's a compass and a clock. It's a compass and a clock. And on the right side, you got east, and on the left side, you got south. South is in the wrong position. So what's going on here? What's going on here? You have south in the wrong position, and you have a compass and a clock. Well, that's referred to as a rose compass. And rose compasses were designed to give you an exact latitude, longitude coordinates. And so with south in the wrong position, by now we know that this is not on accident. This is on purpose. And so now we're going to go to the whiteboard and we're going to see exactly how this cipher is to be unlocked. And this is actually what you see. It's a clock. You got your quarter hash marks. And then you got your compass line and your clock line. And south is in the wrong position. So what we did was we just wrote down the fixed numbers that are already there. And what you have is 53 degrees northwest, 23 degrees southeast, 45 degrees west, and 30 degrees south. So then we said, okay, he wants us to put south in the right position. So let's go ahead and put south in the right position. That would be 15 ticks. And so if you moved it 15 ticks, your compass hand would move 15 ticks. And you would get a new set of numbers. And those numbers are 37 degrees southwest, 8 degrees northeast, 30 degrees south, 15 degrees east. And then we notice when you add these 4 up together, they equal 90. And what do you have? 37 degrees, 53 degrees, 90 degrees. All 3 numbers in a 3, 4, 5 triangle. And so we said, wow, that's interesting. So we took 37 degrees north, 90 degrees west, 53 being our marker. And when you punch in 37 degrees north, 90 degrees west, what you land on is a town called Asher, Arkansas. Asher, Arkansas. Now think about that for a second. We're not even a country until 1776. This map is from 1611. I was blown away. I mean, it seems impossible. But Francis Bacon is the father of the scientific method, and he says if you ever come across something that you can't understand, test it out. Then you'll know for sure if it's something or nothing. Now, remember, Asher, we had a captain pointing down to the tribe of Asher. And now, with a compass, a fixed compass, through a 345 inside of that compass, we are able to find a place called Asher, Arkansas. Why Asher? Well, Genesis 49:26. Out of Asher shall be fat, and she shall yield royal dainties, or royal treasures. And so if this man did this, and he actually put this treasure in Asher, Arkansas, that scripture comes to pass. That prophecy comes to pass. Asher will yield royal dainties. These men understood scripture, and they're using scripture to lay out the map. They followed scripture as to where to put it, how to name it, all those things. They used ciphers to hide the map. And so now we have an actual latitude longitude location that takes us to Asher, Arkansas. So if that's true, what would we do next? Well, we would have to have a land marker. And if you were to look up Asher, you'll notice a river runs through Asher. And so when we find Asher here on the map, which is right here, right off next to it is this river. And you'll notice it's a fork, and one splits off to the right and goes 4 ways, and another side splits off and it's real short. And then it goes up and eventually cuts off to the left and cuts off to the right. And there's some squiggly in between, you know how rivers do. But the main thing is this fork, because that's very distinctive. And then we noticed just above the fork you have this dot with the word Meara. Meara with a dot just up from that fork. Well, Meara is a Hebrew word. It wasn't translated. And that's interesting. So I went ahead and looked it up in the index, and what you have is he has it listed as Meara River. He has it listed on the map as Meara, but here he has it listed as Meara River. And then he has a scripture, Joshua 13:4. Meara was only used one time in all of Scripture, and that is in Joshua 13:4. And so we are going to go to that. And we have Joshua 13:4. From the south, all the land of the Canaanites and Meara, that is beside the Sidonians, unto Aphek, to the borders of the Amorites. You'll notice the 2 lines in the Meara. Come over. Or the cave. Meara is not a river. Meara is not a river, it is a cave. It's only mentioned one time in Scripture, and it's a cave. Every other time you see the word cave, it has been translated into the English language. This one time, he doesn't translate it. He keeps it Meara. And he does that to hide the cave. And so, if this is a real map, he's telling you at 37 degrees north, 90 degrees west in Asher, Arkansas, you are going to find a river that looks like this. And just up from the fork on the right-hand side, you are going to find a cave. And so I went there. We went there, and this is what we found. We found a keystone cave. This cave is cut out of a rock shelf, and it's in the shape of a keystone. It's about 20 feet deep. There is a letter G on the entrance of the Keystone Cave. It was filled 5 feet full of mud, and we excavated it and found human leg bones. There was no skull, no spinal cord, no ribs, no arms, just 2 hips, 2 femurs, 2 lower leg bones, and that's it. We found a hand-forged shovel head in the very back, extremely old. 3 wood beams and 3 wood planks, hand-carved. And then we found an all-seeing eye carved in a stone. Now, every single one of those are Freemason symbols, and we are going to show you these in paintings that they've put them in, but every single one of those, the Keystone Cave, the letter G, the leg bones, the shovel head, the all-seeing eye are all Freemason symbols. This man is telling you, I'm the author of William Shakespeare. I've put hidden ciphers inside of this book telling you to look for a map in another book. We have found that other map. We can prove that he had his hands on this. We are using the same ciphers here, and it has unlocked a map. But he goes even further, because if you come over here, he says this is a map of Jerusalem. Well, when we got to our location, we quickly realized this is an aerial view map. And if you look just below Jerusalem, you'll see the word cave. Cave. It's an aerial view map of our cave. And how it reads is, if you were to come down, if you were at that location, we have the river, our forks up here, we're coming down. It cuts into the woods about 50, 60 feet. It wraps around a hillside, just like this. and the river cuts back and goes back and connects and goes on. There is a rock shelf, 30-foot high rock shelf that runs along the top of this hillside, and at the end of it is our cave. This is exactly what it looks like. If you were a bird flying over the location that he gives us, that is exactly what it would look like. Now, who was the first one to create aerial view maps? His name was John Speed. He created the first aerial view maps in 1588, I believe in the 1580s, and he was the most famous map maker of the time period. He resided in Queen Elizabeth Courts, and if you look down here, begun by John Mean, continued and finished by John Speed. He put an aerial view map inside of this book, and he gives us more so we can be for sure, because in the margins he labels it A to Z. See that? And then you have a set of numbers, and notice the numbers 1, 2, and 5 are missing. 1 plus 2 is 3, with the 5 is 53. And if you come down to number 13, which is a sacred number for Knights Templar, you see Ark in Sion. And the Ark is spelt wrong. Ark in the 1611 is spelled A-R-K-E. Here he has it spelled A-R-C. R-C 53 at this location. You also see the number 3 right there to the left of the cave. See the number 3? Well, it's listed as the Golden Gate. But you can also see the number 2 on the other side of that gate. See it? It's not listed. That's R.C.'s tomb. See the tunnel? Underground, goes into the mountain, into a room where the Ark of the Covenant is being held. A keystone sits above a doorway. So where's our door? It's underneath the keystone. It is an aerial view map of our location. It's an aerial view map of this dot by this river that he led us to, next to Asher, that he led us to, off of a compass through a 3-4-5 triangle from a captain pointing down to Asher. Physical evidence. You have physical evidence. It is a true map. This is Sion. Look what it says right there. Ark in Sion. To sacred Sion. This is Sion. Sion has been found. And if you know Scripture, there's every bit of 50 or 60 prophecies talking about this. And we are going to take you out to this location, and you are going to see it for yourself. You're going to see it for yourself. Now, they've been putting this in paintings as well, and so we're going to check out a few of these. So here's the first one, and you'll notice the all-seeing eye. Under it is the keystone, the hole. You see the ark being carried over to North America. We have the 3-4-5 triangle. We have bones with the shovel. The letter G. You have the book with the ruler and compass, which is in ours. All-seeing eye. Keystone above the doorway. People carving on a mountainside. You have your book with the compass and ruler. You have the bones. You have the 3-4-5 triangle. You also have a Masonic handshake. That's also in the 1611. If you look in the genealogies. All-seeing eye at our location. Missing keystone. It is the missing piece. They have it off here to the side. The hole. It's the missing piece. If you could ever find the missing keystone, you would unlock this whole mystery. Notice they got ropes and they're lowering the Ark of the Covenant under the keystone. How do you get in? You dig. And when you dig, you enter what? Into his temple. Got the menorah there. You got tools, shovel head. Here's another one. New Jerusalem.
And it's on top of a rock shelf, and there is a temple built inside of this rock shelf, just like we have. You have a hole in front of the temple, just like we have. Notice the keystones laying off to the side. You have tools, shovels. You drop down into the hole, into the secret room. G. You have men carving on a mountainside. This thing out here, shape of a keystone, one of their blocks. The G with the door. You have the bones. You have the book with the compass and ruler. You have the river on the next to it. They've been putting this in front of our faces for a long time. They've known that it's been hidden. They just have not been able to figure it out. And they haven't just been putting it in paintings, but also in movies. If you were to watch The Da Vinci Code, what's it about? The Da Vinci Code was about a group of men called the Priory of Sion, and they are looking for what's referred to as they're hiding the keystone. And these men find the keystone, and in this movie it's like a scroll. It protects a scroll, and you got to have a code, a 5-letter code. And it's no coincidence that the first code that they put into that movie is bacon. They understand the constructs of what was done. They just have never been able to put all the dots together. And today we have done that. The Ark of the Covenant resides at 37 degrees north, 90 degrees west in a town called Asher, Arkansas. There is a keystone cave there with the letter G on the entrance. There were human leg bones inside. There was a hand for a shovel inside. There was an all-seeing eye carved on a stone there. All physical evidence. You could take whatever book you wanted to and think it's coming up with whatever cipher map you want and have it lead you wherever you want to go. Nothing will ever be there unless that map is real. Now, if that man did leave ciphers and you are unlocking these ciphers and he's telling you he hit a map and you are unlocking this map and it leads you to a specific location and what he tells you you will find there is there, it becomes reality. It's real. He did this. And it's the Father. It's the Father's work. The Father has put all this together. You will begin to see these prophecies stand out. Zechariah 14 says that Yahushua is standing on the Mount of Olives, and he is cleaving to the Mount of Olives, and he is looking west. And it says, and you will see a very great valley. Well, if you were to do that and look west, there's only one very great valley, and that sits between the Rocky Mountains and the Appalachian Mountains. That is in between the Rocky Mountains and the Appalachian Mountains is the greatest valley in the world. And so would that constitute as a very great valley? And then it says within this valley there will be a mountain, and one part of the mountain will move north and the other part of the mountain will move south. There is only one mountain range within that very great valley that does that, and it's the Ozark Mountains, where Sion is sitting right now. They knew. They used that scripture to put it in that spot. Zechariah chapter 2 says that Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls due to the multitude of cattle and people therein. Look at it out there. It's nothing but farms, cattle and mountain. And so you begin to see his word popping up. Then you read scriptures such as Isaiah 51, Isaiah 22, Isaiah 29, Psalm 65, Revelations 10, 11, 14, 15, 16. All these are popping up. And if you go back and read these, you will actually be able to see the Father's word coming to pass.